I'm the Wolves Den, and welcome to another episode of Menu Combat, the podcast for JRPG fans who like to pause and customize their party. I'm your host, the Wolves Den, and there are three parts to every show: the what am I grinding on, what am I reflecting on, and what is the Bard's Tale of the Week. And with that in mind, let me tell you what I've been grinding on. And yes, that means it is time for the Persona 4 Golden update of a week. And all I have to tell y'all, water is wet. Persona 4 Golden is good. What can I say? When I say that Persona 4 Golden is good, it's that I'm finally past the core intro and I'm starting to get the essence of the experience. And I think there's so many places where I want to go, but I think the thing that stands out, the thing that comes out to me, this game is funny in a way that I don't think of Persona 5 as funny. I'm thinking about Marie's first moment with Yosuke, and it's like, anybody who buys me meat must be a good guy. There are these lines that they're being delivered, and they're just silly. They're funny. They're making me laugh. They're making me put a smile on my face. It's almost very 16-bit Final Fantasy, where there sometimes would sneak in something really humorous. And when I think of my time with Persona 5, I can't think of anything funny. I think of things that are cool. I think of things that are neat, things that are thoughtful, but not funny. And I think this game goes out of its way, at least in the regular folks dialogue, to be consistently funny. I'm thinking about later on, you meet a guy in Upper Inaba shopping district, and he's motorcycle lover. And what does he say? He says, well, if I ever get one. Right now it's more of a conceptual title. Like, this is just a humorous kind of bantery game, and I think they know that. I think every day is great at your Junes. Like, they're building that up, and it's a silly line, and it's this memorable tagline, but it's also like there's a little satire in it. There's a little bit like, there's no way we believe that Junes is good, right? Like, there's no one who's playing this for the first time. It's like, I really think Junes is a really not really going to be a core part of why this is going on. No, like, they're building this up, and it's fun. Like, I think that's what's been standing out. Even so, one of the things that stands out is that I ended up joining a sports club. I joined a basketball sports club, and you meet Cool. And the fact that they created a arcana around two characters is interesting, right? They call it the fellow athletes arcana, which I'm assuming means that if I would have flipped over to the football, I would have ended up connecting with the other gentleman. And that's so interesting, to connect two people to this, and then maybe you miss out on core parts of the experience or different social links as a result. But you meet with him and Cool on the ground, and it's like, I haven't breathed air this bad in a long time. It's this joking aspect of about being in a small town versus being in the city. Like, you have one of the teachers talk about the don't mess with the city folks. And obviously, I'm sure that this game is about country and about being in the country in Japan. And I think they lean into a humor part about it. Obviously, playing more of Persona 4 means that I finally finished the Yukiko's dungeon. And I'm of a couple of thoughts when I think about completing this dungeon, what I like from the dungeon experience, what I don't like. I wish they told you how many floors it was. I like that Teddy tries to tell you on each floor, like, can you hear her? What to expect? I think I caught myself on the 5th floor where he's like, oh, she's on this floor. Oh, I'm like, I could expend SP. I can be ready for this battle, and only to find out that it's a mini boss and not the actual boss. I think, especially for a game that's asking me to preserve SP, preserve HP, be more thoughtful in how I use my actions, not giving me an idea of how long I have to go, is disappointing. But I also don't mind the procedural dungeons. Honestly, coming from Persona 5, the elements that are... This is really just like the Mementos, right? And obviously, I would love for you to eventually gain skills to explore these procedural dungeons the way you did Mementos, where something maps out something. But I get the impression from the social links that they don't build in that direction. And in fact, all the Persona links are about building your, obviously, assortment of monsters that you recruit through tarot cards. And I would hope maybe a better answer is, if you're going to lean into the shuffle time, which I really enjoy, that social links could add elements to you to alter your shuffle time. And maybe, again, this is early times, but talking about ways that this can improve, be more interesting, because shuffle time is such a good idea. Being able to choose between HP and SP, half your XP, changing different card. Like, I think I like shuffle time more of a negotiations by far, right? I have the only other experience in negotiation outside of Persona 5 I have is with SMT3. And negotiation's fine, right? Like, you're trying to get the essence of what the monster is like, what do they represent, what do you anticipate for them to act like. But if I'm honest, shuffle time is just so much quicker. And because you are altering your dungeon experience, which I think I just like a lot, it brings more to the table. I'm excited to see how they evolve it. Like, I think one of the things that's challenging about shuffle time, though, is not always having chess keys and needing to create chess keys when you need it. Same with skill cards. In fact, the most interesting thing is that I got a skill card for a real life skill, which is so different, right? Like, if I do this skill card, I will now have, I forgot what level, sharp student, which I love. I like the idea that dungeon crawling could do things for your social life in a way that, unless I'm not thinking in 5, that never really was the case, right? Like, your social life was access to other social life things or access to more social links, but it wasn't necessarily something that was connected to the dungeon crawling that you were doing, unless it affected your negotiations. The fact that here I can get skill cards that can make me do better things outside of the work, outside of the space, is such a neat concept and a deeply, 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 deeply respected. All this to say, shuffle time is incredible. Even if it's randomized, even if you can't always get what you want, I think it also is nice because it rewards thoughtful play. Like, if I'm just scraping by in a battle, I'm not going to get shuffle time. But if I exploit something, if I play better, if I time things right, I will get rewarded by a shuffle time. Now, what I didn't really notice is whether or not, once you go on a higher floor, can you go back on other floors and get shuffle time still? I noticed when I got to the 8th floor of Yukiko's dungeon, I no longer got shuffle times, even if I played well. And I wonder if that's just one of those things to gauge you out of certain experiences, so you don't over-exploit or over-grind. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't playing as good as I thought, but it's one of those very neat, thoughtful things. And honestly, I'm back and forth on how I feel about the procedural dungeons. If you guys remember in P5, I wasn't as excited about the created dungeons. Honestly, the best dungeon is Okamura's castle. The space place. That's the best one, right? I think I liked all of them, but none of them stand out in my all-time JRPG dungeons. But when I think about the proceduralness, I'm not excited. But on the other hand, there's moments where, I don't know if you guys remember on floor 5, when you go into certain places, Yukiko kind of shifts you around. And because it's so much of a maze, I didn't realize what was going on. I'm like, wait, I'm going in the direction. Why is it stopping me? Why is it stopping me? But I realized with the map, I'm like, oh, I have to go this direction and that direction to kind of fill in the map, empty the floor, then get access to the actual mini boss. And that required me to engage with the map in a different way. That kind of messing with the player, getting at them, getting under their skin, irritation. You can tell this is more connected to their first-person dungeon design or just that kind of attrition style. And it's really cool, really thoughtful. Yeah, when I think about this game, there's a lot of stuff that I'm growing to appreciate. All of this leads to what is a damn good boss battle. Honestly, the symbolism of this Yukiko boss battle is genuinely some of the best stuff I've seen Persona do. It is literally, she is a red caged bird who summons a knight, which, if that's the most blunt description of what her issues are with her shadow, it's genius, right? She feels like a caged bird. She feels like she's trapped. And she's this delicate flower, right? Like that's how everyone treats her. And so she's literally a caged bird who is struggling with her own agency, and because she has to inherit the inn, be in charge of that, and she has to be this perfect representation. And what she's hoping is to be free through summoning a knight, summoning a judgment caller, summoning a suitor. And these are thoughts that we don't hear from her. Again, this is her shadow speaking, and it speaks so elegantly well. And then when you start off facing against her, then she pulls her knight, hoping that this turns the tide in her battle, just like she thinks it'll turn the tide in her life. You get rid of a knight, and then she tries to summon again, and she won't get it again. And she's left to deal with it on her own. And she can't deal with it on her own as her shadow. But then obviously you beat her, she's on the other side, having to accept that if she wants to change this, she has to do it on her own. And later on, right, like the next day when you engage with her, she's like, I was trying to do this all by myself. Changing the idea of what she needs is a suitor instead of what she needs is her community. Brilliant, brilliant. Like a story, like I don't know what else to say besides if you've never felt trapped by decisions, never felt trapped by the makings of who you are, you don't really get the idea of wanting someone to help you escape. And in her case, it's wanting to escape via the idea of a man can pull her out of her scenario. But obviously, like, we have all different reasons, things that we escape. Sometimes I say, I used to do really into like really negative ideation around the idea of like, oh, I don't have to deal with the decisions. I don't have to deal with these things that have made me. That refusal to sit with that, and obviously me never wanted to communicate it in any way. I get what Yukiko's saying, and I think the boss design is great. I think compared to Shadow Chie's design, where yes, Shadow Chie is this binding, controlling of other schoolgirls. Like I get it, but I feel so far with Chie's growth, there's more to do and more to explore. Obviously, because Chie didn't have a palace or dungeon designed around her feelings and what she's navigating. I think Yukiko gets the benefit of us building this up, us seeing her around in the universe, us seeing her in the regalia, like being treated in these different ways. Uh, this, I think, speaks to what I think Persona will always be good at, which is exploring emotions. And I think about something else that I think people critique about Persona a lot, which I get, which is this is not an adult experience. These not explaining adult emotions, or mainly it's because around issues of sexualization, which I don't blame people for that issue, and I'm not even trying to poo-poo that. Like I didn't like how they treated Anne, all of that. But I also think part of the reason why they fight for high school more than college, even though college is a coming of age. And people talk about cultural differences, the role of college in Japan versus the college in America is very different. But more what I'm getting at is that the first times you had to challenge and sit with these thoughts is some of the most difficult challenges. And I think the idea is that when you're an adult, yes, you have to sit with them, but you've battled it once before, right? You've battled these questions. Now, that could be wrong. That could be me misinterpreting, me thinking differently. But I think about the challenges I had to sit with college required a lot of growth. But the emotional desperation of high school of some of these feelings is very different. And I think sitting with the masks of childhood and adulthood, I guess those are the things that where I'm like, I can't fault them for leaning into high school, leaning into these elements, because time is different. The way that you choose things are different. I think that's the other piece, right? I think Persona have a deep goal to tell people how to grow, and they think their message is the most appropriate for that age group. Obviously, we play it as adults, we get nostalgic, we played as adults and still enjoy the story, right? Like I still am enjoying Persona 4's story, but I think when I, for example, when they talk about the part-time job can build diligence, that's not a conversation to me as an adult per se. It's a conversation to a child or a teen about how can you build that social skill in life, right? And I think that is what this game is trying to always convey